Hello, welcome to SMCC's Wish Workshop on Note-Taking. So why should we bother to take notes anyway? What's the point? Well, taking notes can assist in memorizing. If you write something down, you're more likely to remember it. Taking notes can help us actively listen. This makes us more receptive to the information that we're receiving in a lecture. And also, processing your notes turns them into a study tool that you can use for future reference. So what is active listening and how can we do this? Get to class early to minimize distractions. If you're not worried about looking for an empty seat, turning off your cell phone, or shuffling around pulling out your books and notebooks, then you're going to be able to more actively listen. Make sure you've looked over your notes from previous class sessions. This will act as a warmer for your brain and you'll be more receptive to new information. Also preview the reading and PowerPoint if you're able to before the lecture. Again, this is a warmer for your brain and you'll be able to take in that information. Check the syllabus often. Know where the course is and where it's going. Your syllabus is a roadmap for your course, so it can provide you with the directions. Ask questions in class. Not only will this help you stay awake and pay attention, you will also learn more. Listen for cue words from your instructor. Can you identify some cue words? It is important. The major cause of. If your instructor uses superlatives like best, worst, least, most, these are cue words. And also your instructors will usually put the volume of these cue words a little bit louder. For example, it is important. When you hear that, you want to pay attention and make sure that you're writing that down in your notebook. Also, any point that the instructor repeats is usually worth writing down and is important. So during the lecture, taking notes, how do we actually take notes? Use an outline format, abbreviations, shorthand, and sketches to save time. You want to be spending more time listening and less time actually writing. You can use visual organizers to help connect ideas. Let's look at some samples from Bucks County Community College. If you look here, you'll see a timeline. That might work well in a history class. There's also webs. See how that's visual? There's not many words on the page, but ideas are still connected. We have a tree that can also show relationships, a chart. You can use a chain format. This might be useful if you're looking at different processes or relationships between things as well. And then a sketch. I could see that that might be useful in a physics or other science class. So consider using visuals. They save time. Never use a sentence when you can use a phrase, or a phrase when you can use a single word, and absolutely no paragraphs. If you're finding that your notes look more like essays or paragraphs, then you're doing something wrong. Also, leave space for information you missed. Your instructor may jump around from topic to topic, or you may miss something. So if you have that space, you can fill in the gaps later. Here's an example of the Cornell note-taking method. To set up to take notes in the Cornell format, you put an upside-down T on your notebook. We're going to use the right-hand column to take notes. The left-hand column is for questions and summaries, and the bottom area is where you will write a summary. So during the lecture, you really focus on this right-hand side. This is where you record the facts and ideas as you're listening to the lecture. As soon as possible, summarize these facts and ideas at the bottom of your page, and then also over to the left, use small phrases or questions to summarize your points to the right. What this allows you to do is cover these notes in the right-hand column and recite what you recorded based on the phrases in the left-hand column. Use your own words. This is going to help put this information into your long-term memory. If you spend 10 minutes every week or so doing a quick review, then you're going to have a better chance of retaining this information. Here is a sample Cornell notes in a handwritten format. So you can see on the right hand side are the notes from class, the vocabulary or phrases on the left, and at the bottom is a summary. So you also want to process your notes. How many of us take notes and then never look at them again? What's the point? We need to do something with these notes. I advise you to process your notes on the same day if at all possible. So reread your notes. Underline, highlight, or star important information. Put questions next to the unclear areas. This way you can fill in gaps. You can ask a classmate or your instructor. Or you might even write something and you don't understand your handwriting or whatever the case may be, but you need to know where those gaps are. You can write self-test questions in the left margin, and also try to summarize the information on the bottom of each page. If you are able to summarize a topic, you are putting it into your long-term memory, and that also means you have a nice understanding of whatever the content is. This is studying, so processing your notes is actually a form of studying. But why should we process our notes? The percentage of new learning that is retained as time goes by without review and relearning. So let's take a look. You're in a classroom. You have received some information. If you have not processed that information or reviewed it after 20 minutes, you only have about 75% of that information left. Let's say you move on to your next class, so it's been 1 hour. You haven't reviewed the information from your previous class. Now you are already down to 45% of that information. Let's look at a week later. Maybe you have a quiz from that course. If you haven't processed your notes, reviewed, then you only have about 20% of that information. So review and relearning are going to help you memorize information. You want to retain this information so you have it for your tests, quizzes, and also for your future courses. So a recap on note-taking. Taking notes help us memorize, create study tools, and listen actively. Active listening is possible, but it takes effort, hence the word active. Less is more in note-taking. So listen more, write less. And make sure that you process your notes. Make them useful. For more information on this topic, you can visit smccme.libguides.com/tutoring and click on Study Skills. Or visit our in-person sessions in the Learning Commons on the South Portland campus. You can see the above link for a schedule. Thanks for watching. Your friends in the Learning Commons.